After taking possession of his late grandmother's crumbling house, Jacob tried one test night before deciding whether to sell. Past midnight, he jolts awake to rhythmic raps inside his closet. Not pipes picking as they cool, but evenly spaced, deliberate knocks. He starts recording, narrates that the sound came from the wardrobe, then opens it. Bare hangers, dust, no source. Seconds after he sits back down, a heavy bang from the opposite wall detonates the quiet.
I just heard knocking from the closet.
Jacob is alone. Every external door is deadbolted. Only later, scrubbing through the video frame by frame, he sees a detail he missed in the adrenaline. A porcelain clown doll perched on the dresser that begins to clip facing the bed, and by minute's end is rotated toward the door. With no one crossing the lens, no swaying blinds, no AC draft, no pet. He relocates the doll to the living room and refuses to sleep with it upstairs. Whether trick of perception or something that moved while he filmed, the combination, responsive knocks, displacement bang, and the doll's orientation shift hardens his decision. The house isn't just a money pit, it feels occupied. Everyone knows strange things tend to happen under bridges, but in July 2016, a YouTuber named Last Leaf Studio captured something that left viewers speechless. The video, titled "Some Creature Creeps Under the Pedestrian Bridge in Kiev," begins with the sound of traffic rumbling through Ukraine's capital. The camera pans toward a pedestrian bridge stretching across the highway, and that's when something catches the cameraman's eye. Look closely beneath the bridge. You can see a large, dark figure clinging to the underside, slowly crawling its way across. Its limbs seem to move deliberately, one after another, as if it's scaling the metal frame like an insect or something worse. As it creeps from shadow into light, the outline becomes clearer. Long arms, jointed limbs, a human-like shape. But the way it moves feels unnatural, too smooth, too strong. If it's a person, how are they able to cling to the bottom of a bridge like that? And if it's not human, what kind of creature could it be? To this day, no one has confirmed exactly what was seen that night in Kiev, but one thing's for sure, whatever it was, it didn't belong there. Randy and her sister are mid-conversation on the couch when a single metallic plaque punches out from the hall like a latch, tapping a jam. Randy films, her sister walks toward the rooms, calls out and reports back. Empty. They stand listening, then the same tone, fires again, same pitch, same bounce, this time closer to the bedroom door.
Girl, there ain't nothing back there, I'm telling you.
The light just went off.
Nothing back there, right?
There's nobody back here.
I told you. There's never... Oh my god! Oh my god!
Brandy has heard this before. Once she went to check herself and found nothing to account for the sound. No settling ducks, no pet fins, no toy. Days later, returning from dinner with her young ones, she notices her bedroom light glowing despite swearing she turned it off.
So, me and my kid just got back from eating dinner and my bedroom light is on, which is strange because I don't remember leaving it on.
Are you sure?
For me? Yeah.
I'll stay right by the door.
Yeah, I want you. Oh my god. Somebody broke into her.
She records as she eases the door inward. For a split second, the camera catches a figure-like shape, occupying the doorway's interior angle. The moment she steps in, the room is vacant. No open closet, no underbed shadow to blame. She hasn't posted further updates, but her posture is clear. Either she's dealing with a very committed trespasser who leaves zero trace or anomalous activity localized to that corridor and doorframe. Shot on January 8, 2020 at Furnace Lake, Capitolio, Minas Gerais, Brazil. The clip opens like any busy holiday outing. Multiple runabouts idling close to the canyon walls, passengers filming clips and spray as guides, positioned for photos. In under a minute, the scenery turns into a mass failure event.
Tá caindo muita pedra.
Ficou filmando, você vai pegar. Ele vai cair.
Vai cair esse trem.
Puxa um pouquinho pra lá. Olha lá, olha lá. Aconteceu, olha lá.
Ah!
Go! Sai daí, gente. Aí, ó. Aí, porra. Sai daí. Aí, ó. Aqui, ó, irmão. Aqui, irmão. Aí, irmão. Ó, vem. Ó, irmão.
First downs are subtle, granular rattle, fine debris pluming off a vertical face, stray pebbles pattering the surface. Then a block the size of a building detaches. The camera boat yells warnings and throttles up, but adjacent craft have no run-up. The rock panel pivots outward, driving a pressure surge that flips, hulls, pulverizes rails, and throws passengers. From this vantage, the impact is partly masked, yet the aftermath is not. Later counts confirm 10 fatalities and 30 injuries. The working theory at the time tied the failure to weeks of heavy rain, saturating fractures in the quartzite or canina layers, raising pore pressure until the face delaminated. The lesson for canyon lakes is cruelly simple. Shear walls weather from behind. When the cliff goes, close-in craft have seconds at best. This angle, new to most viewers, shows how even safe boats outside the direct fall line still suffer projectile and overpressure damage, including the windscreen shatter captured at the end. Recorded on a rough roadside position in Donetsk Oblast, during the summer of 2014, a DPR team films a hastily built checkpoint, stacked tires, a trestle table, two-way radios, and several detainees or volunteers prone on the gravel while fighters mill about. The atmosphere is tense but oddly casual. Banter, cigarettes, someone working a handset until a rocket artillery strike lands, well off camera but close enough to hammer the microphones.
Твою мать!
The horizon flashes, the pressure wave slaps the phone sensor, dust lifts from the checkpoint posts. Laughter erupts, not because nothing happened, but because the rounds impacted Ukrainian army, positions the crew says they targeted moments earlier. No confirmed casualty count is provided by either side, and the lens never pans to the impact site. All you get is a signature overpressure, rolling echo, and immediate radio traffic spike. What the clip shows clearly, an ad hoc fire's call, culminating in a detonation large enough to rattle men who'd already seen months of fighting, and a checkpoint that stays man even as the sky answers back. Dashcam footage from May 17, 2024 in Novokuznetsk, Russia. Local reports vary, but the setting is an urban arterial with a controlled crosswalk. Shows a typical queue of 20 to 24-year-olds waiting for a walk phase. A coal hauling truck rolls through the junction with an overheight bed or cover or a poorly routed load edge. It snags a drooping overhead line, likely assigned to a traffic signal, feed, or messenger wire rather than a primary conductor, and drags it forward. The line tension spikes, then whiplashes sideways. Two pedestrians are clotheslined in a single beat, legs swept while torsos are driven backward. Heads at risk for ground impact. The dashcam car brakes, bystanders phrase, then converge. Both struck individuals survive, but are clearly injured and stunned. The hazard here is textbook. When a high vehicle entangles suspended utilities, the energy released does not behave like a gentle pull. It stores elastically and then releases as a lateral lash, unpredictably changing height across a sidewalk. Municipalities depend on minimum clearances and proper sag. Fleets are supposed to verify overall height and avoid lanes with overhead plant outside tolerance. Any of the three small failures, line sag, load height variance, or inattentive routing, can combine into a pedestrian-level kinetic hazard. Providence has built more hotel and carries a century of party allure and secondhand sightings, phantom music in empty halls, laughter bleeding through floorboards with no event booked. Jack lies in his room, hears the bathroom door slam like someone yanked it and threw his shoulder into it. He chalks it up to a pressure change until minutes later the door eases open on its own, pauses, and slams shut again.
All right, you can see that the bathroom is down there at the end of the hallway. The bathroom door is the one that has been slamming itself by apparently unseen forces. I'm going to stand here for a couple minutes. If it happens again, then I'm going to catch it on video. If it doesn't happen again, then I'm going to set my camera down and try to just let it sit there and wait and catch it when it happens. Did you see that? It just did it again. I cannot believe I got that on video. I cannot believe I got that. There is nobody in this room except for me. That is the freakiest thing ever. There's nobody back here.
He starts filming from the hallway's sideline so door, jamb, and hinge are in frame. After a quiet beat, the door whips closed with full force, the latch striking plate audibly. Jack pans to show the bathroom. No one behind the door, no window ajar, no exhaust fan gusting. A hotel door that heavy typically resists drafts unless propped. Here it behaves like a handled object, even if one argues stag effect. The open then slam cadence repeating, and the strength of closure bend the air pressure hypothesis thin. Given the Biltmore's reputation, viewers split. Mishung door plus HVAC weirdness or classic poltergeist-style door control. Jack's certainty is uncomplicated. Alone in the room, he captured a forceful, repeated mechanical action with no visible agent. Multiple uploads label this as a Brazilian beach, and the frames make the warning self-evident. The stand and adjacent shallows are carpeted with crocodilians. In Brazil, typically caiman, spectacled, or yacare, though casual captions often say crocodiles. Both banks and sand tongues are densely packed, animals stacked nose to tail with intermittent movements, revealing different size classes, juveniles, sub-adults, and large adults, all basking or thermo-regulating near the waterline.
Rio Nabilec, Pantanal, Mato Grosso do Sul, município de Corumbá. Ponte de Jatobá.
For anyone imagining a swim, this is not a human beach in any season. Aggregations like this happen where prey density, water level, and thermal opportunity converge. Dry season contractions, fish kills, or predictable night warmth zones can draw animals into hundred-strong congregations. The risk profile is broader than a bite. Large individuals can launch from shallow water with low warning. Spooked groups can stampede into the channel, and the substrate itself is an ankle-snapping trap riddled with slide marks and burrows. The clip value is scale. Viewers often underestimate how completely a crocodilian population can claim a shoreline. Here there is no safe corner, no gap to pass through, and no meaningful standoff, only don't approach. If this truly is Brazil, species ID quibbles don't change the operational truth. Hundreds of apex ambush predators occupying every ladder of the food chain along that edge. Film it from a distance, stay on high ground, and treat any water edge path as occupied territory. The beach isn't dangerous, it's theirs. Friends dared a night shift cleaner to work the sprawling old house in darkness and film the footsteps upstairs. She keeps reporting. She narrates into the mic to keep the courage high, naming landmarks. Landing, airing cupboard, back bedroom. You hear subtle floor pressure overhead. Wait, that settles, not a creak and done. The cupboard door ticks as if eased, then shut.
Have I to really cope there? What? What? God. Can't scare me, you bastard, I'm coming. For Alan. To prove that it is top at banister. Hello, Pauline, I'm shitting myself. Sounds like there's something in that bedroom. I'm up to the top of the stairs. Oh, I can hear a noise in the background, but it's in that cupboard, and it is the airing cupboard. So that's where the boiler is, and it sounds like it's just, something's just come up the back of me. Door, bollocks. Now I want to go back down now. Right, I've just shut door. Bed, I'm gonna sit on the foot. I daren't move. Do you know if I weren't shitting me said? I want to go down.
She calls out, gets no answer, and inches toward the sound. Suddenly, a sharp bang detonates from a side room. She spins the camera just in time to catch a pale, human-like face peeking from behind a half-closed door. Forehead, eye, cheek arc. Then, withdrawing in a single smooth slide.
Will you open the door for me, please? I have just seen something. Right, that's it, I'm off down, I can't take no more. I am off frigging down.
No footfall, no rustle of fabric. The angle implies it was already stationed there before she turned. That breaks her composure. She aborts the dare and flees downstairs, breath shaking, laughter edged with shock. Skeptics might go person hiding, but she documents locked entry points, no colleagues on site, and continuous filming across the approach. If staged, it's precise. If not, she delivered the clearest peek and hide capture you'll see from a lights-out clean. In 2009, 19-year-old Nick Stautzenberger starts a YouTube channel. Awkward skits, room tours, cat clips, nothing remarkable except the creator's abrasive self-presentation, boasting about not bathing, hating his parents, and a general contempt for norms.
Off to answer the phone. Really bad with action poses, as you can tell. Maybe I should have put some action lines like whoosh, 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 but What? Alright, I'm trying to film the cat. Morris.
The channel makes him visible, and visibility becomes a thread that helps unwind a much older crime. Back in 2006, he'd met Anna on a roleplay forum, sliding into a years-long online relationship. As trust built, Nick typed what would later become damning admissions that he held illegal, predatory desires, and worse, that he assaulted his half-sister Amber, the same girl he'd feature in lighthearted YouTube snippets. Anna cuts him off and reports the logs. Nothing happens. Nick pivots to a personal blog, Tales of the Nick, stews in grievance and fixates, calling Anna his wife, tracking her online, constructing a fantasy marriage while denying any wrongdoing. Years pass, then in 2015, Amber, no longer a child, goes to police for their own evidence and statement. This time it sticks. On April 30, 2015, Nick is arrested on multiple counts, including involuntary deviant sexual intercourse and indecent assault of a child. In 2016, a court convicts him. He receives 16.5 to 40 years. Subsequent appeals fail. There's no need to linger on the details. What matters is the arc. A perpetrator who confessed online and was ignored, a survivor who endured, documented, and when grown, forced the system to act. The old videos feel different now. Their mundane tone undercuts anything performative Nick tried to project. They also puncture a common myth that predators are mysterious outsiders. Too often, they're inside the home on the family camera, commenting on their own life as if the harm they're inflicting isn't real. Amber's courage resets that narrative. A fixed street camera in Madhya Pradesh, India, frames a modest lane, doorway garlands half hung, chalk rangoli in progress, and two relatives, a 21-year-old woman and a 14-year-old girl, placing decorations directly in front of their house. Night traffic is light. There's no reason to expect trouble. Then a car snaps into frame at lethal speed, fishtails, and drives straight into the pair with almost zero reaction window. Miraculously, they are knocked clear rather than pinned, which likely prevents fatal crush injuries against the wall. Both suffer serious trauma and are transported to a hospital. As of the clip's posting, they remain admitted. The driver, 17 years old, halts just long enough for the camera to catch door movement, then bolts, abandoning the vehicle and the injured. Police later take him into custody. The video coldly highlights how a few meters of setback or a single physical barrier can be the difference between survival and catastrophe when reckless speed meets a pedestrian space. Dated June 3, 2024, the cat video comes from Buryatia, a Russian republic on the Mongolian border. Winters regularly drop to sub-20 degrees Celsius, single digits degrees Fahrenheit and below. Summers are usually mild. Recent years, however, have brought hotter, drier spells that turn taiga and steppe margins into already fuel beds. The engineer's windshield frames a linear inferno, active flame fronts on both sides of the right-of-way, ember drift crossing at head height, and a sky turned sepia to black by particulate. Railway verges, if uncleared, act as continuous fine fuels. Passing trains can add ignition sources. Hot carbon breaks sparks, but in heat or drought regimes like this, a lightning strike or human carelessness is enough. The region's forestry agency counts 10 simultaneous fires across 6 districts, and the clip references an earlier massive fire weeks prior, signaling a seasonal pattern rather than an isolated blaze. A stark side-by-side shows December's snowbound landscape versus the current char and smoke panorama, a reminder how fast fuel moisture can invert the hazard map. For operations, crews must monitor rail expansion, signal reliability, and smoke visibility. Evacuations hinge on wind shifts measured in minutes. For residents, this is particulate PM 2.5 saturation, respiratory risk, and route closures. The strategic picture is classic boreal fire behavior: overwintering zombie fires, crown runs when wind couples with canopy, and rapid growth in peat or duff where suppression is line by line. The train's unblinking past compresses it, an entire district's air, light, and logistics bent by flame. Night watch in a closed building, fluorescent wash echoing atrium. A security guard ambles to the lobby doors, waves, chats, gestures as if answering questions from someone just outside badge control. On CCTV, there's no person where his sightline lands. He keys the radio, listens, nods, and starts to guide the visitor onward. Then the control room hails him. No logged guests, no one on the lobby cams, no figure on the exterior feed. The guard stiffens, turns to the lift, jabs the call button repeatedly. When it lingers, he ditches for the stairwell and is gone. Later, he'll say he spoke with an elderly woman, asking directions, consistent phrasing, hand motions, and the way he points to a floor directory, but nothing registers visually. If this were a prank, you'd expect collusion, at least on one camera angle. Instead, you get an earnest, unscripted conversion from calm to panic the moment no one's there, pipes through his radio. The original upload vanished soon after, deepening the unease. Police interview footage from late November 2012 shows Dylan Millard in a Canadian interrogation room. Blank wall, standard table, timestamp rolling. The detective opens with report points: Robinson helicopter, license level, family aviation, then moves to the timeline gaps and device traces that anchor their case.
I noticed some stuff, Robinson helicopter and other stuff. Are you a pilot?
I am.
Your dad was a pilot, right?
Yes, he was.
What pilot license? Are you a helicopter pilot?
Yeah, I'm a helicopter pilot, and I have that at the private license level.
The time is now 2:18 a.m. It's still Friday, November 30th, 2012, and I'm ending this interview. Actually, before I end it, is there anything that you want to tell us that we might have forgotten to ask you, or anything that you remembered that you think that we should know? Or any little detail that you think might be able to help us?
I don't know if anything we've talked about has been helpful or not.
Okay. Okay, the time now is 2:19 a.m. and I'm ending this interview.
Millard's posture hardly shifts. Voice even, answers minimized or deflected, no visible indignation, no visible anxiety. The interviewer gives him broad openings. Anything we missed? Anything that might help? He declines, ends nothing, admits nothing. Seen in isolation, it's just a chilly room and a guarded subject. Seen with a court record, it's a preface to 3 separate murder convictions. Tim Bosma, lured on a pickup test drive and killed. Laura Babcock and Wayne Millard, his father. Prosecutors later argued blended motives: money, the thrill of domination or violence, and control, and juries agreed. What stands out in the tape is not theatrics, but the absence of them. No bargaining impulse, no counter-narrative offered, no grief, only laconic resistance as the clock advances. Interrogations are not trials, but they do reveal self-preservation under stress. Here, the neutral effect doesn't signal innocence. It foreshadows a man who, even confronted with telecom data, surveillance, and chain of custody exhibits, would not move. The social media recognition of this case owes to that contrast. Ordinary conversational tone laid over exceptional brutality in an interview, ending with a polite time call, 2:19 a.m., on a story that will later map to 3 homicides. A daughter films her mother cooking in Vietnam, captioning that she won't eat tteokbokki again, and the reason detonates in real time. The camera is on the pan when the contents suddenly explode upward. A staccato series of oil and steam blasts that fling food across the stovetop and send the cook recoiling. There's no portable gas canister near frame, no visible aerosol propellant, just superheated oil in an ingredient that behaves like a sealed capsule, skin or fat membrane, marrow bone, or pre-fried item trapping moisture. When internal water flashes to steam under a confining layer, it can burst violently, the kitchen equivalent of a popcorn hull going off in hot oil. Whatever the recipe label, the physics are straightforward. Moisture in a closed pocket plus high oil temperature equals rapid phase change, explosive venting, and shrapnel food. The clip is a brutal reminder to pierce thick skins, pat ingredients dry, and use a splatter guard, because even a familiar dish can turn into an improvised pressure vessel in a home stove. The uploader is mid-evening at home, calling for Nala, who's stuck herself into a corner and refuses to cross a particular line of floor. He calls out a buddy, Derek, for possibly pranking him.
Nala! 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 Nala? Derek? Nala, come on out. Nala, come on out, seriously. Derek? Nala, where'd you go, princess? Nala?
Baby. No. What's wrong, Angel? Who do I love? Who do I love, pretty girl? Okay.
That is so weird. I've like never seen her that scared. Never seen her get that scared. Derek? Derek, that you? Nala. Nala. Come on, we're going. Nala, we're leaving. Let's go.
A kitchen noise pops off. He sprints back to coax Nala out. At that exact instant, the bedroom door swings and slams under its own power, hard enough to rattle the frame. Nala trembles and pancakes to the ground. Classic fear stack. Ears back, whites of eyes showing, body low. He cycles from humor to get your leash urgency, voice thin, and ultimately evacuates the house with a dog. After he writes they've been at his parents' place, Nala remains jumpy, explaining it by stack effect and loose hinges, and you still need the timing. A shot that coincides with her most intense distress and his approach to the threshold. The compelling piece isn't just a door, it's a canine refusal behavior mapped to one room that night, which trainers will tell you is hard to fake.
Nature is king here. Man can only watch and be humble.
There's nothing out there, it's your imagination.
On February 5, 2020, Gardener's World films in South Africa's Drakensberg with hosts and the legendary seed collectors Rod and Rachel Saunders, co-founders of Silver Hill Seeds, global authorities on gladiolus diversity. The segment is pure botany joy, glacial valleys, a niche gladiolus blooming in a microhabitat, and two experts who can make the morphology of an inflorescence sound like poetry.
Species which grows wild all over the country and has been a real favourite with British gardeners for generations is the gladiola. Gladiola, there's so many different plant species in South Africa you could have picked.
I think their beauty. Some of them are so exquisitely beautiful, you actually just want to sit down and cry.
About 4 times looking for this plant, and this is the best I've ever seen it. It is looking absolutely gorgeous.
Fog pools and saddles. Footing is slick. They get the shots, exchange smiles with presenter Nick Bailey, and sign off. Then the TV ends and the field season begins. The Saunderses push deeper, texting a staffer a photo of a target bloom on February 8. Silence follows. On February 10, they're reported missing. Investigators find their vehicle near the Tugela River with valuables gone and a large blood pool in the boot, later matched to Rachel. Phone traces and financial forensics paint a brutal timeline. A local man, Del Vecchio S., messages that he has a good target that night. While the couple sleeps in their tent, assailants slash in and bludgeon them. With help from his wife and an associate, they transport the bodies and dump them in crocodile waters under cover of darkness, believing scavengers will erase evidence. The killers then spend on the victims' cards. Receipts end up in a purse. Digital trails pile up. Fishermen eventually recover both bodies, so damaged by river fauna that forensic confirmation takes weeks. Motive threads split, ideological bile, anti-Western rhetoric mixed with plain theft, cash withdrawals, shopping sprees. In court, denials collide with telecom metadata, CCTV, and purchase records. However, verdicts ultimately land. The loss is already etched. Two scientists whose life's work preserved while genetics were hunted like ATM cards. Their final on-camera words, gentle, exact, thrilled by a fragile plant, now read as an epitaph for a kind of fieldcraft the world needs more of, not less. The diver in open water, reacting as a spider-like arthropod, makes contact. Legs splayed, body compact, movement crisp enough to trigger a full-body recoil. Captions call it a water spider. Strictly, the true water spider, Argyroneta aquatica, is a freshwater European species that traps air in a silken bell. It's not marine. The ocean also has sea spiders, Pycnogonida, arthropods, yes, but not true spiders, which are common in many seas and can look uncanny, especially when leggy, slow, and alien against blue water. Whether this was a true spider hitchhiking on pelagic weed, a pycnogonid, or simply misidentified flotsam, the diver's reaction is understandable. At depth, even small surprises magnify, and the smartest move is the one shown. Stabilize, clear the space, and ascend only when controlled. James buys another valued antique doll, and after an uptick in unaccounted noises and free-swinging doors, parks it in an empty room under a motion tracking camera. For 2 nights, the cam pans slowly as if something is crossing, yet nothing visible occupies the frame. You could chalk that to false positives, flicker, headlights, IR snow, until night 3. From the bathroom doorway, a dark low silhouette darts across the hall, traction true like a small animal or dense shadow, then vanishes out of frame. 2 nights later, the doll itself shifts a few centimeters, a tilting, resettling nudge, while ambient audio stays dead quiet. James leaves closets open and shot to preempt hiding person accusations and posts the raw segments. Is the tracker glitching? Possibly, but the order of phenomena, invisible tracking, shadow transit, object motion, reads like escalating contact. He hasn't committed to keeping the doll. Viewers all say the same thing: contain it or get it out. Elliot Eastman, 26, leaves tight-knit Heinsberg, Vermont, chasing a slower outdoor life among beaches and mountains. He meets Carisha Jala, marries in July 2023, and by early 2024, starts posting unvarnished videos about village routines, market runs, shore work, family meals. Then he relocates to Sabugo, her coastal hometown, in an area locals bluntly call a red zone, a shorthand for weak state presence, organized crews, and crime built around ransom and opportunistic robbery. Elliot is not naive. He actually flags the risk in his channel description, styling himself as the first and only foreigner living there long term. He opens a small beachfront sari grocery shop, starts micro-lending at 20%, and keeps filming. On October 17, 2024, 4 men in police-style uniforms push through the door while Elliot eats with family. He bolts. 2 rounds hit leg and abdomen, and the crew drags him to a waiting speedboat. The sea swallows their way. Investigators chase leads across weeks. On November 12, a police contact becomes a gunfight. 3 suspects killed, 1 captured. The survivor confesses. Elliot bled out on the boat, and they dumped the body overboard. Searches return nothing. In December, he's declared dead. Why him? The obvious reason is ransom. The disguises were meant to disarm the getaway plan, but detectives also surface a second motive: Elliot's loan business. New money in a fragile economy may have stepped on a rival's toes. If abduction was the goal, shooting their leverage makes little sense. If the aim was removal, the violence tracks. Either way, it's a classic try to risk for outsiders in undergoverned zones. Visible wealth signal, predictable routines, thin policing. His channel now sits like a time capsule. Daylight scenes that feel impossibly far from the night a speedboat's engine note replace dinner conversation. A home security camera in Tashkent watches a man asleep, phone charging nearby when a power bank buried under the pillow goes into thermal runaway. First sign, smoke curling under the pillow edge, then a bang as cells vent, followed by open flame licking the bedding. The sleeper jolts up, drags the pillow clear, and smothers or extinguishes before curtains hatch. The near miss is textbook lithium-ion failure, blocked heat dissipation, possibly a cheap cell pack without proper protection circuitry, combined with a soft surface that kinks cables and traps heat. The safety takeaways the footage hammers home: never charge under bedding, avoid no-name power banks, don't stack chargers, and give batteries airspace on a hard, non-flammable surface. The difference between a scorched pillow and a fatal room fire here is measured in seconds and luck. A store owner, too spooked to stay past close, asks investigator Gantu to babysit the sales floor until dawn. He camps by the counter, controller in hand, camera running wide. At timestamp, a small human-shaped figure appears beyond the gondolas, half occluded by fixtures, proportions like a youngster, standing motionless and looking toward him. Seconds later, it's gone. No aisle footsteps, no exit path audible. Low bitrate can make edges smear, but smearing doesn't explain a coherent silhouette that persists for beats, then depopulates a frame without any parallax or occluder movement. Could a real child be inside? The door chime never rings. The alarm log shows no entry, and the owner claims the building is sealed. Whatever it is, it maps to the owner's reports. Diminutive presence, observational rather than interactive, and maddeningly good at not being where you look next. At first glance, it looks like an odd tableau, thick smoke boiling up in the distance while a handful of locals lie prone on the ground beside a dusty road. They're not being dramatic, they're maximizing survival odds. The clip was filmed near Lázaro de Tlaltepec, state of Mexico, a town whose economy revolves around pyrotechnics workshops. Seconds in, a pressure front arrives and the camera picks up the split-second roar of a mass detonation from a fireworks site. Lying flat matters because it reduces profile to flying shrapnel and directs the incoming blast over bodies instead of into them. It also lowers the risk of eardrum rupture by keeping the head closer to the ground, where the overpressure is marginally lower and secondary debris paths are fewer. When the shockwave hits, dust lifts in a sheet, foliage ripples, and you can hear that ragged after of collapsing structures. Early local reports reference one fatality and multiple injuries, with artisanal powder drying on racks, stacked composition, and improvised storage. Sympathetic detonation is a constant hazard. Even away from the epicenter, the danger persists. Hot fallout and low-angle fragments can travel farther than casual onlookers expect. What the clip captures so well is the choreography of instinct done right. Get low, cover, wait, and how a town built on celebration lives next to an industrial hazard that, when it goes wrong, behaves like a small ammunition depot going up. YouTuber Nicholas Schurrer, channel Sunspeak, posts dance practice and longboarding edits while aiming for a pro stage career. In 2017, he and his friend Austin head to San Diego chasing auditions, but costs crush the plan. They drift inland to the Salton Sea, a one-time resort ring now blighted by toxic dust, fish die-offs, and economic abandonment. In pitch tents, squatting in derelict trailers between desert edges and patchwork settlement. The area has its own ecosystem at risk. Thin law enforcement, transient populations, and the kind of night sounds that unspool the imagination. Around 2 a.m. September 9, 2018, a scream peels out from the tree line. Austin freezes, lets adrenaline bleed off, and dozes again. Nicholas doesn't. He slips outside to check the source and never returns. At daylight, Austin finds a flashlight dropped a block away and calls police. The search turns up one boot, his pants, and a knife sheath. The other boot, wallet, and keys are missing. Days later, items that weren't there before, shirt and hat, suddenly appear in an already canvassed spot, as if someone wanted them found. Leads cool. The family posts a $10,000 reward in a public dossier. No solid suspect emerges. Theories range from interpersonal harm, which detectives say they can't support with evidence, to an encounter with criminal activity that thrives in forgotten corners. The desert's other possibility, disorientation and exposure, doesn't fit cleanly with objects turning up later. What remains are the videos, a young man repeating combinations in makeshift studios, feet drumming a future he thought he had time to reach. In the gap where an answer should sit is the hardest kind of silence, the kind that won't tell the family what to grieve for. Point-and-shoot phone video. Someone films a rabbit under a street lamp for novelty. Then, background left to right, a pair of pants appeared to sprint by with no torso inside. Belt line bouncing, cuffs articulating like knees drive them, but no upper body rides the waist. Reflex guesses, overlay filter, compression artifact, don't readily fit outdoor. Single take footage with stable lighting and clean horizon lines. A more grounded take is someone in black morph suit from the waist up under dark conditions. Yet the pants seat doesn't collapse as it should when unsupported. It's a blink and you'll miss it capture. Equal parts absurd and unnerving because your brain tries to resolve who's wearing them and comes up empty. 2 Russian Su-25 Frogfoot ground attack jets streak across the Donetsk Oblast on a low-level run. What follows is the kind of failure you almost never see on tape. One pilot's unguided rocket ripple intersects the deconfliction window on the other aircraft. The Su-25's S-8 or S-13 rocket pods are designed to host ground targets with cheap, plentiful fire, perfect against area targets, terrible when friendlies are anywhere near the beaten zone. The shooter likely walked the salvo along a ground vector, just as his lead or wingman executed a shallow bank or altitude change. A fraction of a second's time in error, and the geometry closes. A white-hot spear of exhaust traces, then impact. Then catastrophic damage as fragments and blast overrun the airframe. No cannon, no radar-guided A2A, just dumb rockets doing exactly what they do. Fly straight, fast, and unforgiving. It's a case study in why low-altitude CAS requires ironclad range discipline, vertical stacking, and constant eyes-out comms. Cheap munitions buy volume. They also buy risk if the flight lead and shooter are even slightly off book. The rarity here isn't the physics, it's that the camera catches the moment of fratricide with brutal clarity. 2 friends fish a quiet Indonesian river when a low guttural rustle from behind freezes them.
Apa Meng? Relax Meng, relax Meng. Astagfirullahaladzim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Arrahmanirrahim. Maliki yaumiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta 'alaihim ghairil maghdubi 'alaihim waladdallin. Amin. Ya Allah. Ya Tuhanku, jauhkanlah binatang ini. Amin ya rabbal alamin. Innahu min Sulaiman wa innahu bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Meng, kau jangan lari tau, kau mundur. Kalau kau mundur dia ngikut tak? Slow Meng, jangan sampai terpijak ranting. Relax Meng.
The camera swings in striped muscle in dappled shade. A Sumatran tiger stands at the brush line, head low, eyes tracking. One fisherman begins praying. Both men square shoulders without running, voices steady but clipped. Turning your back or sprinting can trigger chase. They face the animal, keep distance, and avoid sharp gestures. The tiger tests the edge, snatches a fish, and withdraws. Opportunistic theft rather than predation. Habitat overlap in shrinking forest corridors makes encounters like this rare but real. The clip's lesson isn't bravado, it's composure and posture. Don't crouch, don't bolt. Make yourself present and allow the cat an easy non-conflict exit. Officers arrive at home to check on a man named Darius who had been reported missing. When they find him, they try to speak calmly, asking where he's been and if anyone else is home, but when they tell him he needs to come with them, everything changes.
Recall, I guess you were missing and we had to come check on you and make sure you're okay?
Home yesterday.
I stayed at night at somebody's house. Okay. Where you been staying? I was on one night. Alright. Is mom here?
Oh, I'm the guardian.
You're the guardian? Okay.
I think they're 26 right now. Okay.
Alright, well, Ladarius, you gotta come with us.
Come on, buddy. That was so unnecessary.
Darius suddenly resists, pulling away as officers attempt to detain him, but the struggle intensifies. Officers take him to the ground, trying to restrain him as he thrashes and shouts. One officer secures the cuffs while another holds his hips and legs still. Darius yells for them to stop, claiming he can't breathe. The officers insist they're not trying to hurt him, just to keep him from hurting himself.
Any
vehicles that are holding for like an hour or more. If we can refer them to our online reporting, that'd be great.
Can you let go? That right one? Get up! I didn't know this was stop! Don't come back home. Let me go, bro!
Can you give us a second?
Oh my God! Oh, sorry, I just got it double up. Get off me, bro! Get off me! Stop! Can you just stop?
My knee is not on him.
Stop moving, Ladarius. I'm just trying to double lock the second one. He's almost good.
Please, just get out, please. Don't walk.
This one's not double locked.
Thank you, want to dispatch. Traffic.
Oh my God! Step up.
Come on, just get in the car, dude. Yeah. Got a crowd out here.
You want me to get on the other side?
Are you Sensor? Yeah, I'm out of one. Sensor cleared out of one.
He hasn't been searched. Stop, buddy. Come
Stop. Hey, hey. Relax. Stop. Just relax. We're gonna sit here all day until you calm down.
I don't give a f about you, bro.
Okay.
I hate you, bro. Let me go.
Are you gonna scream all day, or how's this gonna work? Yeah, you can straight to the jail. I can get this plug in.
Bro, let me go, bro.
After several tense moments, they finally get him under control and into the patrol car. Still upset, Darius screams and kicks from inside the vehicle. Officers urge him to calm down, telling him he's only making things worse for himself. One officer reminds him he could be released within a day if he cooperates. But for now, he's being taken into custody.
Guess who's making it worse for yourself? You're making it worse for yourself, Joey. When you get there, you're going to end up in the body. You going to, boy, calm down.
Stop.
Exactly. Cut that shit out. But you be up in here acting out hard. Calm down. Calm down. You mad. They're not hurting you.
He's gonna be transported to the jail.
They're not hurting you. Stop doing that. Stop doing that. You gonna end up getting hurt. Listen, he gonna end up getting hurt. Because the shit he doing is charged for
As the scene settles, an officer explains what happened, that Darius tried to run, forcing them to take him down. He says he used controlled restraint, sitting on the man's legs until backup arrived to help secure the cuffs.
No, you didn't have to be on him like that.
Well,
listen, let me tell you something.
He has multiple warrants.
I bet he do. I bet multiple warrants. I bet he do. Okay, but this the lane he want to be in.
I can guarantee you I wasn't hurting him. Okay.
Well, at least you get it.
We have to control him.
Look. You can say what you want.
We have to control him. Okay. We have to control him.
I understand.
Yeah.
But it looked like you was on top of him. That's all I was asking you to do was get off it.
And I was not.
That's what it looked like, so I just trying to...
I was not.
Don't get out there.
And you'll see on your...
Listen,
Listen.
go ahead
and help.
A welfare check meant to ensure his safety ends with a violent struggle and an arrest, another reminder how quickly calm can turn to chaos. A freeway shoulder cleanup stop becomes a nightmare in one long unbroken dashcam take. A roadside crew exits their pickup, cones not yet fully out, when a fully loaded cement mixer barrels into frame, drifting onto the shoulder. There's no heroic swerve, just mass, speed, and a collision that pancakes the work truck and catapults one worker. The dust cloud clears on a scene safety officers know too well. Secondary impact hazards, rolling debris, ruptured tanks, and a victim trying to self-assess through shock. The man, identified as Jordan Curtis, survives with serious but non-life-threatening injuries. Attenuators and crash cushions are designed for trailing protection, but many quick shoulder stops are ahead of protection, relying on driver attention. Mixers are notorious. High center of gravity, long stopping distances, and the temptation to ride the fog line to maintain pace. The takeaway for crews is procedural. Block with a dedicated crash truck, harden the shoulder, and never assume a driver has you in their scan. The takeaway for motorists is simpler. A shoulder is not a lane buffer. It's a thin slice of survival space that vanishes the moment a heavy vehicle drifts. At Pinnacle Point Estate, above the Indian Ocean, a CCTV camera watches a path angled like a ski run. A cart with 4 passengers enters frame, already carrying speed. You see one rider twist for the foot brake, another reach for the parking lever. Nothing bites. Panic posture appears. Feet down, arms braced, eyes on the fence line they're gonna test. The cart punches through barrier rails, momentum unchecked, and disappears below sight. Reports afterward note one woman seriously injured and all 4 transported. Steep grade carts rely on mechanical brakes plus motor braking, with either compromised mass plus slope wins. This is a pure slope risk equation: gradient, load, maintenance state, and reaction distance. And here, all 4 lined up wrong. They lived. The camera proves how fast a harmless resort vehicle becomes an unforgiving projectile. Forwarded clip, bustling African fairground. Music, rides, bodies threading past, when a translucent figure becomes visible near a walkway junction. Unlike everyone else, it's perfectly still, slightly see-through, and remains anchored as people pass through its apparent space. Motion blur could yield semi-ghosting on fast movers. This is the reverse. The crowd blurs, the figure holds. The filmer never noticed on sight. Only on replay did the anomaly stand out. With origin unclear, you can't audit metadata, but the visual read provokes the same chill every time. In a place bursting with life, one presence is unmoved, unbothered, and out of place. Phone video rolls as a lattice transmission tower is being stood into place. Mid-lift, you can hear the operator riding throttle against load when something in the system, hydraulics, boom section, or rigging, lets go.
Bom gitti. Bom gitti. Kaç altından kaç!
The tower swings, the boom dips, and a dozen workers scatter under the fall envelope. What saves them is training or luck. No one freezes and everyone runs perpendicular to the collapse vector instead of along it. Installing tall steel has no gentle failure mode. Once the center of mass moves past the crane's safe chart, the entire assembly tries to find ground the fastest way it can. The clip is a reminder that even with taglines, spreader bars, and engineered pick points, a single component trip, thermal relief, pin shear, unexpected wind gust converts an elegant lift into guillotine. The absence of injuries here is remarkable. The learning is evergreen. Exclusion zones aren't suggestions, and you don't stand under anything mid-swing, ever. A dim, noisy clip from Piga State Forest captures a group pigging, night boar hunting with dogs. Torches carve out tight cones in black bush. Conversation is rowdy until a handler is suddenly jerked off balance, dragged hard sideways, and chaos detonates.
Hey, pull up. Can you Can you hear it, Todd? They got him here.
Yeah, shush.
What the? Todd! Where are you? Where, Todd? Todd, you right? Mate, you right? Quick! What the? What's that? Quick! Quick! Run, Todd! Run!
Commenters guessed crocodile at first, but this is in croc country. Others invoke bush lore, Yowie, or hairy man stories, while practical hunters pointed to a line tangle, a dog lead snared around a sapling blasting past at full pull, or a runner tripping an unseen wire or root at speed. The video quality won't adjudicate legends, but the force vector is clean, lateral, low, sudden, and enough to lift a grown man astride sideways. Whatever grabbed him, nobody waits to diagnose. They break contact and run. He's filming his spotless car on a quiet shoulder, voice upbeat, road seemingly empty. There's no warning, just a freight train whoomp as a truck's trailer tracks wide and shears along the parked car's flank. Glass fountains outward, metal peels, and the owner's shout turns to the flat, stunned sound people make when a year of payments disappears in a blink. Park on shoulder videos look harmless, but modern highways are dynamic. Trailers cut in and swing out. Drivers target fixate on reflective paint, and a slight drift turns the shoulder into a lane. He's lucky he wasn't between the vehicles. Checking the tire, admiring the paint. The aftermath, scattered trim, airbags mercifully unpopped. Drives home the basic rule. If you must stop, get off the carriageway entirely, exit to safe cover, and film from somewhere you can survive a mistake you didn't make. A father chronicling odd household happenings shares two clips. In the first, his daughter bolts upright, screams, and points toward the bed's edge, later telling him she saw a shadow figure beside her. At nearly the same moment, her clock radio powers on by itself, something it's never done. Weeks earlier at 3 a.m., the home microphones recorded a concussive interior bang. No open windows, no weather event, no appliance cycle that fits the signature. Without more angles, you keep possibilities open. HVAC duct pop, shelf drop, with the pairing of a direct visual claim from the youngster with an electronic anomaly and prior nocturnal impact sets a credible pattern, repeating stimuli concentrated at night around one bedroom that the family cannot source. Dashcam captures a scene that starts surreal and could have ended as a mass casualty. A Tesla sits straddling live rails, hazard lights blinking, faint horn in the distance. Officers arrive, realize the driver is impaired, and shift to the only clock that matters, the railroads.
We're driving out of the car. The car's stuck.
Receive. Received out of the vehicle.
We're gonna hit the car.
0008 Jacred.
Receive.
I'm heading that way.
Commandos become shouted verbs. Out, move, now. They haul him free as another unit tries to locate the train. You hear the urgency spike. They're going to hit the car because everyone there knows what steel does at speed. Trains don't just stop, and even a relatively light strike can derail rolling stock, rip rails, and send debris across multiple tracks and intersections. The rescue is maddening postscript. This was in weather or a mechanical failure. It was alcohol, a choice that put crews, bystanders, and an entire line at risk. The video is an argument for rail-aware dispatch, better crossing sensors, and the same old plea. If you've been drinking, don't drive, and definitely don't park on the rails. You can see the river is already out of character. Brown, standing waves where there should be glass, banks chewed back, trees training, an emergency modular bridge, likely a temporary military span, has been anchored to restore crossing. Then the upstream debris jam finally arrives.
Trôi cầu phao rồi. Trôi cầu phao rồi, trôi được. Ôi ôi, quá nguy hiểm này. Đứt dây rồi, đứt cáp rồi. Ôi, 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 nhanh, đứt dây rồi. Ôi, bay lên đi.
The span lifts, twists, and begins to slough downstream, the deck bucking under two soldiers who hang on as the anchorage lets go. There's a brief gut-sucking moment where it looks like they'll ride the structure into a capsize. They don't. The far end catches, the near end washes clear, and hands from shore pull them out. It's a clean example of hydrodynamics trumping planning. Even robust field bridges have limits once buoyancy and drag exceed ballast and anchoring. In raging water, every log is a battering ram, every snag a fulcrum. The lesson is grim but practical. If you're anywhere near a flood bridge, clip in, stage throw lines, and have a boat downstream. Water decides, you react. Lone guard, quiet facility. Audio picks up a faint scuff near a high crawl space. Tim points his light and lens into the dark. Live, he sees nothing. On a review, he brightens the frame and reveals the outline of a hand, wrist, palm, curled fingers, gripping the edges as if testing purchase. A beat later, it's gone, with no follow-through, no descending body, no ladder escape. Hider theory requires axis and an egress path. Tim says the hatch locks from his side and the surrounding area would have caught a person on a second cam. Could it be pareidolia? The geometry, digit spacing, inflection looks intentional. As a data point, it's brief but potent, an anatomical motion in a space that should be dead. U.S. Air Force Airman Robbie Johnson films a simple demonstration. Drip a test strip in his morning coffee and purple, the color change that indicates oxidizer or bleach. The taste that first nagged him wasn't his imagination. Over multiple warnings, his coffee had been adulterated. The alleged perpetrator, his wife, Melody Feliciano Johnson. The videos, messages, and lab confirmations built a case that prosecutors pared down to adding a harmful substance to food or drink. No grand jury theatrics, just methodical evidence. She ultimately pleaded guilty and, in a controversial outcome, received probation rather than prison time. The clip resonates because it collapses a sprawling domestic nightmare into one blunt image: a cup turning the wrong color. Poisonings aren't cinematic, they're mundane, small additions, repeated, relying on routine and trust. Pre-dawn traffic is light, the road routine, until a minor collision becomes the fuse. At roughly 30 miles per hour, 50 kilometers per hour, an electric taxi taps another vehicle. Instead of braking, the powertrain surges. What follows is 36 seconds of escalating catastrophe. The cab claws past 100 kilometers per hour, then 150, finally screaming to about 186 kilometers per hour, 115 plus miles per hour, as the driver fights a machine that will not respond.
큰일 났다. 큰일 났다. 뭐야 이거 뭐야? 왜요? 큰일 났다. 이거 저 브레이크 잡아. 안 돼. 브레이크 잡았어. 신속도도 안 돼. 큰일 났다. 이거 해봐. 큰일 났다 이거. 이거 큰일 났다.
Street furniture blurs. Cross traffic becomes lethal obstacles. The dashcam records a series of near misses before the inevitable, an impact with another taxi that flips the EV onto its side, sending it skidding, showering sparks, and finally slamming into a second car. By the time the wreckage stops moving, 7 people are seriously injured, and it is sheer fortune there are no deaths. Whether this was pedal confusion, software fault, or a struck input chain, the outcome is the same. Once a heavy EV is under full torque at speed, the stopping distance is unforgiving and the kinetic energy is enormous. The most chilling detail is how quiet it all is until the hits. No roaring engine, just wind, tire howl, and the knowledge that the street has become a corridor with no exits. It began as a routine traffic stop near Bluegrass Airport in Lexington, Kentucky. On the morning of July 13, 2025, a street trooper pulled over an SUV on Terminal Drive, unaware that within moments the stop would turn into a nightmare. One of the passengers, later identified as 47-year-old Guy House, suddenly pulled out a gun and opened fire. The trooper, Jude Remillion, a 3-year veteran, was struck in the leg. House fled immediately, leaving behind the terrified driver.
What's going on? The reason why you're not just driving a seatbelt on?
It was.
Huh?
It was.
It was. You got the driver's license? Can you roll down the back window? What's going on, bud? Good, good. You got the driver's license on you too? You're not wearing your seatbelt. Do you have any ID on you? Go ahead and put the car in the park so they don't park. Where are you guys headed? What is it? My house. Do you have a social? What is it?
Sorry. We shot fired.
Careful with your 20.
Right at the airport.
304 1064.
No bleeding, shot in the leg. Shot in the leg.
You guys hit? What is it? Do you have a social? What is it?
304 Frankfurt, shots fired. 304 Frankfurt, shots fired. Yeah, 304. Help, please.
304, go ahead.
What do you want to do? Bleeding on the leg.
Tourniquet?
Yes, please.
Oh my God, are you okay?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
304, you're not coming out.
Bleeding on the leg.
Here,
Shot in the leg.
Here. What do I do? What do I do? You know, just tell me what to do.
Yeah.
Keep turning tight.
304,
Yes.
and on.
Despite the chaos, help came from unexpected heroes. 3 civilians rushed toward the injured trooper, Jimmy and Jessica Alexander and their daughter Taylor Hall. They used belts as makeshift tourniquets, gave him water, and kept pressure on the wound until backup arrived. Even the SUV's driver, the one House left behind, ran back to help.
Here.
204 is en route to you.
Oh my God.
Bleeding. Get some water, please. Shot in the leg.
Oh my God.
What do you need, buddy? 911?
Yeah.
Somebody call?
Somebody, yeah. We need a better tourniquet. Do you have a tourniquet on you? Do you have a tourniquet on you?
I got another belt.
Yes.
You got another belt?
Yeah.
I'm not, because I don't have this one good.
Is that the only place you were shot?
Yes, I think so.
Frank for 304.
You got another water?
Are you
Is help on the way?
Yeah.
911 called.
He's got a tourniquet on it. You just got one bullet.
Yes.
We saw pulling out the
Yes.
wrong way. He almost hit us too.
More water?
Yes.
This is the fresh. I just opened it.
911's already been called.
Is that the guy in the black truck? He almost hit us, dude. I was like, what is this guy doing?
If I'd have been 15 seconds earlier, he'd have knocked me right
Okay.
off my bike.
Did he shoot you?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I mean, I don't know. Am I innocent?
Any more water?
Drink it all.
Yeah, just trying to keep your son off of it. Yeah.
Would you like for me to do that?
Yep, it might be easier for you. I'm just trying to stand behind him so he has something to lean up against.
Moments later, airport police officer Adam Arnold arrived and applied a professional tourniquet, stabilizing Ramillion until paramedics reached the scene.
Hey, water?
But I was terrified.
You said you would let me know if you need ambulance.
You okay?
Yeah.
I'm going to need everybody here. This is going to be a state trooper that's been shot.
He said he would pull the guy over for warrants. This guy over here in a blue shirt.
But House wasn't done. While on the run, he carjacked another vehicle, escaping deeper into Fayette County. Police across the region began an urgent manhunt. Around 12:30 p.m., officers found the stolen vehicle near Richmond Road Baptist Church. What they found next was horrific. Multiple people shot in the church parking lot. Officers confronted House, ordering him to drop his weapon. He refused. Within seconds, 3 officers, Sergeant Ross Collins, Officer Kyle Blankenship, and Officer Simon Rankin, opened fire, killing him at the scene. 2 of the church victims, 34-year-old Christina Combs and 72-year-old Beverly Gum, died from their injuries. 2 others were rushed to the hospital in critical condition. Trooper Ramillion survived and months later was seen walking again on his own. The civilians who risked their lives that day, the Alexanders, Taylor Hall, and Officer Adam Arnold, were awarded the Meritorious Achievement Award, the highest honor given by Kentucky State Police, and one that hadn't been presented in years. A routine stop, a senseless shooting, and a reminder that even in moments of chaos, true heroes will step forward. A short, brutal example of FAFO. A man tries to show off, whether it's stress testing a barrier, hopping a moving object, or yanking on something under load, and the response is instantaneous, equal and opposite reaction right to the ribs. There's no mystery here, just underestimating stored energy and overestimating reflexes. It's funny until you imagine the close skulls. Head hitting edge instead of shoulder, spine instead of thigh. Consider it a one-clip public service announcement for don't pull or stand or sit on things designed to hold still, or worse, things that are holding something else in place. A strong explosion in Mexico City's Lula restaurant on the evening of October 24, 2025 resulted in a fire. Authorities claimed that an LP gas heater leak that caught fire was the cause of the tragedy. About 200 people were evacuated, including building occupants and employees as well as customers of the restaurant. Thankfully, no one was hurt, while the fire brigade and civil protection teams tried to contain the flames. Before dawn in Turkey's Bolu province, guests at a high-end ski resort wake to smoke and confusion. A fire kindled in a fourth-floor restaurant finds fuel and flow paths fast. Within minutes, corridors are chimneys. Panicked families pound down a single emergency staircase. Some report no audible alarms, no proper fire doors, and no smoke control. Every checkbox you pre-sticked at a hotel isn't. The footage shows screaming, glass shattering, and people trapped in rooms flashing their phone lights while flames sheet across exterior facades. Authorities move quickly, 9 arrests including the manager, as investigators probe code compliance and maintenance logs. The human toll is crushing, dozens dead, many more injured, and the geography twists the knife. This is an easy drive weekend escape for Ankara in Istanbul, packed with parents and youngsters on school break. Hotels are supposed to be layered like an onion: detection, compartmentation, protected stairs, trained staff. Strip those layers and a localized kitchen fire becomes a building-scale flashover. The clip is unforgettable because it shows what absence looks like. No alarms, no barriers, no second chance.
Jesus amado, nunca vi negócio desse. Tá, a abelha atacando cofeza. Olha pra isso, lá de fora, vem. O senhorzinho tá que tá. Jesus amado.
On September 19, 2025, the scene you just watched was captured on camera. Authorities say a swarm of migrating bees unexpectedly moved into the downtown area of a supermarket in Itapetininga, Brazil. When emergency personnel arrived from their station, which was only 500 feet, 150 meters away, the hostile insects immediately resisted them. In an effort to disperse the swarm, paramedics applied fire extinguishers. 3 firefighters, 2 bystanders, and 6 medical personnel were among the 11 individuals hurt in the event. The area was closed while specialized personnel eliminated the swarm, and a 74-year-old man did not survive the onslaught. On October 21, 2025, this footage was taken at a Klang, Malaysia traffic crossroads. The tipper truck driver lost control of the vehicle and collided with a garbage truck and two cars, according to reports. The garbage truck's front cabin was torn off by the force of the hit. The tipper truck driver was one of 6 people hurt in the collision, and one of the victims had a shattered leg. Police initiated an inquiry and brought the driver in for interrogation. This video was taken on Karahov in Bucharest, Romania on October 17, 2025. An apartment building experienced a strong explosion that seriously damaged several flats in the 1st through 5th floors. Sources claim that preliminary investigations show a gas accumulation was most likely the reason, and officials verified that gas company employees had checked the area the day before and cut off the flow, raising the possibility that someone had reopened the gas. Search and rescue teams, firefighters, and medical personnel were mobilized after emergency services triggered red code response protocols. There were 3 fatalities and 17 injuries. To ascertain the precise circumstances of the explosion, authorities initiated an inquiry. A TikTok clip that at first looked random and spooled into a far darker story once the pieces were put together. On July 12, 2025, Nicole Fernando Puye, 15, left her family's home in MYUU and traveled to Hortolandia, Sao Paulo to see Enrique, her 17-year-old ex. She'd known him since primary school and still trusted him. Nicole stayed at his small house, which she shared with his father. What she didn't know, Enrique was already involved with Evelyn, 14, and jealousy inside that cramped living room was boiling over. In security footage from that day, Enrique can be seen pushing an empty wheelbarrow into the yard, a detail that makes horrifying sense later. According to investigators, an argument exploded. Nicole was pinned and stabbed multiple times in the back, abdomen, and flank in a manner completely inconsistent with self-defense. The pair then desecrated her remains, carving PCC to stage a gang hit, wrapped the body parts in sheets and a blue tarp, weighted them with stones, and carted them to a nearby lagoon. When Nicole's family reported her missing, a search dog led police to Jardim Amanda on July 18, where a partially submerged torso and later additional remains were recovered and identified via DNA and a distinctive tattoo. The teens fled across the state line to Pirana, but were arrested on July 20 in Cornello Procopio at the grandmother's home. Forensics and chat logs showed planning, including messages where Enrique called Nicole someone else's, vowed to get rid of a rival, and used Nicole's phone on July 15 to send decoy messages trying to buy time. The case was classified as femicide. As of October 2025, both suspects are in socio-educational detention under Brazil's youth statute. facing a maximum of 3 years, which ignited national debate. Nicole's mother, Priscilla, pregnant at the time, began pushing Les Nicole Poye to toughen penalties and expand mental health support for adolescents. Without the fast recovery at the lagoon, the staged gang narrative might have delayed the truth for much longer. It's a brutal study in jealousy, manipulation, and the absence of safeguards for vulnerable teens, damage that radiates through families and communities long after headlines fade. On October 18, 2025, this incident happened on board Air China flight CA-139, which was going from Zhou to Incheon, South Korea. A lithium battery in a traveler's carry-on bag reportedly caught fire in the overhead compartment on its own. The aircraft was redirected to Shanghai Puong International Airport for an impromptu landing after the crew promptly implemented safety protocols to suppress the fire. Thankfully, there were no reports of injuries during the incident, so it was only a fright. This video was taken at Parmo Airport in San Cristobal, Tata Estate, Venezuela, on October 22, 2025. Sources claimed that immediately after takeoff, a Piper Cheyenne aircraft lost power and crashed close to the runway while trying to ascend. The airplane was totally destroyed by the explosion and fire that followed the impact. The plane carried 2 passengers who perished. To find out what caused the incident, authorities have started an inquiry. Selfie. On July 3, 2025, Italian motorcyclist Omar Ferranzini, 48, set out across Romania's fabled Transfăgărașan, a ribbon of pavement curling through the Carpathians near Vidraru Dam. The highway's views are hypnotic and deceptive. Romania is Europe's densest brown bear population, and roadside sightings are common. Omar pulled over, stepped off his bike, and as photos later showed, edged too close while holding food. Never a good idea. What he missed was the context that matters most in bear country: cubs nearby. In an instant, the mother bear surged, striking with claws and bites and dragging him roughly 80 meters down a steep, wooded slope. Riders on the road heard the screams and called for help, but protective maternal aggression does not pause for sirens.
Guardate l'orso, ma che bello!
Rescuers arrived to find catastrophic injuries. Despite helmet and riding gear, there is no meaningful armor against a bear's power at close range. The sow, still keyed up and defensive, turned on responders and was shot by hunters to protect the rescue team. Her 3 cubs scattered into the forest, their survival uncertain without her. Authorities reiterated the basics: never feed wildlife, never close distance for photos, and never assume a bear alone truly is. Later reviews pointed to a lethal mix: defensive mother, food conditioning, and unforgiving terrain that worsened the fall. As of October 2025, no further updates have clarified the cub's fate or the final autopsy details. The hard lesson remains: a perfect photo can be the most expensive picture you ever try to take, paid for with a life and the destruction of a wild family. This incident took place at a railroad crossing in Katowice, Poland on September 25, 2025. Sources claimed that a woman was crossing the lines in an Opel sedan when her front wheel came off. A train was approaching when the automobile got stuck between the railroad barriers, but an off-duty police officer following the damaged vehicle moved swiftly to call emergency services, and working with the driver and passenger forced the car off the tracks to avoid catastrophe. This video was taken in Hainan, China's Qinghai province on October 16, 2025. Sources claim that the vehicle lost its brake in this incident as well, skidding out of control before slamming into a Mercedes Maybach. Both cars sustained significant damage, with the Mercedes Maybach being ruled a complete loss. However, the Mercedes driver and his spouse only sustained minor wounds, both sprained ankles, despite the severe crash. Overlook, evening, September 24, 2025. Trina Jones, 62, was crossing Richmond Highway, U.S. Route 1 near Beaufort Drive in Gila Valley, Virginia, a corridor notorious for high speeds, dim lighting, and scarce, safe crossings. A black 2016 Mercedes C300 struck her and fled. Stunned motorists stopped. Some shielded her with their cars, others dialed 911. Trina was conscious and insisted on remaining exactly where she'd landed, so police could mark the impact site. Within minutes, a Fairfax County cruiser driven by Officer Jalen Phillips eased through the logjam at under 20 miles per hour, lights activated, weaving between stopped vehicles. In the confusion and low visual contrast of night roadway, his front end contacted Trina where she lay, a second fatal blow recorded on dashcam.
Please do not tell me I just ran her over.
She did not survive. Detectives later found the Mercedes in Manassas Park. An adult male in dark clothing remains a person of interest. With DNA and GPS data under review, the tragedy reopened old questions. How should first responders approach hot scenes on hostile road designs? Should callers be instructed to physically flag officers, deploy flares, or keep victims out of lanes if possible? Do these blocks need better lighting, refuge islands, protected crossings, and lower night speed limits? A police official called a young officer stellar and the collision unintended, but also noted his approach lane was unobstructed, a hard truth in an already unbearable chain of events. Trina survived a hit and run, only to die awaiting help in the very place the first driver left her. It's a nightmare edge case of urban arterials. One failure cascades into another. An apartment argument between Elena Gonzalez Morelos and Leonardo Mendoza, married with two young ones, spilled into the night and onto Red Bluff Road near a Kroger and gas station. According to witnesses, Gonzalez Morelos returned from a party intoxicated. A suspicious text sparked a blazing fight the youngsters overheard. Mendoza walked out to cool off. Moments later, Gonzalez Morelos climbed into a black Chevrolet Tahoe, gunned it across a sidewalk, clipped two poles, and deliberately ran him down, then smashed into additional street fixtures in the chaos. Bystanders called 911. Mendoza was rushed to HCA Houston Healthcare Southeast with catastrophic blunt force trauma and died shortly afterward. Within hours, Gonzalez Morelos turned herself in, reportedly stating she meant to hit him but not to kill. An admission that, under Texas law, tracks closer to intentional assault with a deadly weapon, the SUV, than an accident. Prosecutors charged first-degree murder. She's held in Harris County Jail without bond while surveillance footage, impairment factors, and prior history threads are parsed. Cases like this blur lines that alcohol tries to erase. A vehicle becomes a weapon, curbs and poles become ricochet points, and a domestic dispute becomes a homicide in seconds. Candlestick Park is buzzing. Bay Winds, Rally Towels, Al Michaels, and Tim McCarver setting the table for Game 3 as the A's and Giants warm their arms and the production truck cycles through graphics. It's the textbook big event rhythm, pregame keys, bullpen shots, a few evergreen notes about Cross Bay bragging rights. Then Michaels starts a sentence. So the Oakland A and the picture shudders, blacks out, and returns to chaos.
So the Oakland A's take. I'll tell you what, we're having an
A magnitude 6.9 rupture, moment magnitude, on the San Andreas system has let go deep in the Santa Cruz Mountains near Loma Prieta.
Emergency Center, what are you reporting? There's a major gas leak on Freedom Boulevard. Okay, where's the leak coming from?
Emergency Center, what are you reporting?
Regarding the earthquake, I'm wondering,
do you need police, fire, ambulance, sir?
Emergency Center, what are you reporting?
A house on fire.
What's on fire? What's on fire?
A house.
What's the address?
All we know is it's at the end of Comstock Hill Road.
The fault's stick slip drives a 6-foot northwest up offset at depth. Up top, it translates to shear waves that hit stadium concrete, freeways, and unreinforced masonry with no useful warning. Police and fire radios instantly saturate. Reports of gas main breaks, structure fires, collapsed facades, and people trapped in vehicles. Crews improvise crawl spaces with jacks and cribbing. Civilians climb into voids to triage.
We have an unofficial word, or it perhaps is official now. 7 people, we know 7 people have died in this crash, including the one, or in this quake rather, including the one when an old building south of Market collapsed on people in automobiles. And there is one other death too, perhaps one on the Bay Bridge when that section of it collapsed. But here trying to get people out of their homes, some injuries, perhaps just panic as well. And this, if it indeed is the big one that we've heard so much about, and people trying to do whatever they can.
Of the quake's 63 fatalities, 42 occur in that corridor alone. The Bay Bridge's east span loses a deck section. Drivers slam brakes at the gap. In the Marina District, saturated soils amplify motion. Liquefaction and gas-fed fires turn entire blocks into multi-alarm scenes. Landslides number in the thousands across the coast ranges. A small tsunami clip nearby Bayshore. The raw numbers are grim, 3,700 plus injuries, billions in losses. Yet a perverse stroke of timing spares countless lives because of the World Series. Commutes ended early, meaning freeways were in at peak load when structural weak points fail. In the months that follow, Bay Area infrastructure gets retrofit mandates, seismic isolation bearings, and bridge replacements. Broadcast control rooms add redundant power links after seeing how fast the city can go dark. The game would be postponed. The footage, phone tapes, and home videos become a living lab on ground motion, failure modes, and emergency coordination. For all our forecasting and engineering, the lesson that cut through the static that night was painfully simple. When the Earth moves, it decides the agenda. Just after midnight, a woman calls 911 from her home on the 900 block of South Pasadena. Her voice is frantic. She says her husband is drunk, throwing things and going back and forth between the house and his car. Then she adds something even more alarming. He has a gun.
Emergency. Can I have officers come to my house?
Okay, what's going on?
My husband's drunk and he's being aggressive and he's throwing stuff.
How many people are inside of the house?
Well, right now I'm in the room with my children, and the older children are here, and my mom and my brother and my sister.
Okay, so how many adults total are inside?
3.
3. And 3 children?
4 adults and then 5 children.
You white, black, Hispanic, or Native?
He's Hispanic.
How old is he?
33.
33.
He's wearing basketball shorts.
What color shirt?
He's coming back inside. Burgundy tank top.
He's back inside?
Yeah, he's walking back inside.
Is he known to carry any weapons?
Well, he had a gun right now, but I don't know if it's, I think it's a police horse gun. He's like,
does he have it on him?
Yeah, but I think it's a police gun. But he's saying that, watch how you're gonna end up. Or widow.
As officers race to the scene, one sergeant radios in that the carport lights have turned on, but there's no sign of anyone outside. He and another officer begin walking toward the house. Then suddenly, the suspect appears. The 33-year-old man steps out through the carport door and immediately raises a gun toward the approaching officers. Gunfire erupts. The officers fire several rounds, striking the suspect. Additional units rush in. They disarm him, secure the scene, and start first aid until medics arrive.
He's coming out.
Put the gun down. Put the gun down, police.
$998.
Show us your hands.
Show us your hands. Guns are pointing westbound.
All right.
Keep your hands up! Don't move up from there!
The man is taken to the hospital with serious injuries. No officers or bystanders are hurt. Investigators later discover the weapon wasn't a real firearm at all, but a Glock-style BB gun, nearly indistinguishable from the real thing. What began as a domestic disturbance call ended in an officer-involved shooting, a split-second decision made in the dark, where what looked real could have been fatal.
Keep your hands up! Don't move up from there!
Some videos on the internet don't just disturb you, they stay with you. This one is one of them. It's February 20th, 2003, inside the Station nightclub in West Warwick, Rhode Island. The rock band Great White takes the stage, and within seconds of opening with their hit song Desert Moon, bright pyrotechnics erupt behind them, a part of the show. But that spark would ignite something far worse. The flames instantly catch on the foam lining, the walls, and ceiling, material meant for soundproofing, but deadly when exposed to fire. Within seconds, the stage is engulfed. At first, many in the crowd cheer, thinking it's part of the performance. Then panic begins to spread. Lead singer Jack Russell is heard saying into the mic, "Wow, that's not good." Moments later, the band flees the stage through a side exit, but for the hundreds packed inside, the main doorway becomes a nightmare. A massive surge of people rushes toward it at once, forming a human bottleneck. Cameraman Brian Butler from WPRI TV happened to be there filming a segment on nightclub safety. His footage, now infamous, captured the entire tragedy in full. On Reddit, a user known as Buffalady87 described the sound of that night. The worst part is in the beginning. There's so much screaming. Then later, when people are running outside, it's suddenly quiet. Not because they calmed down, but because you realize the people still inside can't scream anymore. One spark, one decision, one horrific chain of events, captured forever on video. A birthday that won't be forgotten. The man grins for the camera expecting cake and laughter, but the celebration becomes a slapstick form of chaos.
Gracias a todos. ¡Feliz cumpleaños, güey, puta!
Oye, ¿qué se me prendió?
Nadie, si solamente le echamos la harina.
First, egg splatter, then flour, then fire, then water. A surreal sequence that leaves him drenched and blinking through a cloud of smoke. For a second, it's hard to tell if he's laughing or crying. He's fine, but the clip's comedic timing borders on catastrophe. A single spark in the wrong spot and funny prank could have turned fatal. Here's a chilling reminder of why suspended loads must always be secured. Without a jack stand or proper support, the weight drops without warning. Anyone beneath it would have no chance to react in time. October 2, 2025, less than a day before upload. A drone show lights the night sky in geometric patterns, but then the choreography collapses. Hundreds of drones begin to malfunction mid-flight, falling like fiery hail over the crowd. Organizers had anticipated the risk. Fire trucks already on standby, but still people scatter, shielding their heads as electronics rain down. The spectacle becomes chaos, the future literally falling from the sky. A shaky phone camera films a car chase through traffic, then a sudden jolt. Undercover police vehicles converge, boxing in the suspect. One officer taps the rear bumper, forcing the car to spin. Within seconds, the plainclothes team swarms in, guns drawn, arresting their target. No dramatic shootout, just surgical precision. The takedown is quiet, quick, and almost cinematic. For once, the chaos ends not in tragedy, but in control. What you're about to see is a stadium roof collapse caught on video during dismantling work. At first, everything looks stable, but within moments, the massive structure gives way, crashing down in a violent cascade of steel and debris. A group of men in a rural town prepared to cook outdoors. They arrange stones, light a small fire, and start filming. Maybe for fun, maybe to show off their recipe.
Bung langsung di. Dos.
Yo.
Selingan tarik. Oke.
Dua lo.
Apa yang bersih? Apa ini bersih?
The earth beneath them caves in, swallowing their setup in seconds. They scramble back, shouting in disbelief. Later investigations reveal the cause: sinkhole formation from dropping groundwater levels, hollowing soil until it simply can't hold. 1 second they're making dinner, the next they're staring into the mouth of the earth itself. What starts as a peaceful day at the beach quickly devolves into terror. A group of women sit chatting near the shoreline, waves lapping at their feet, until a massive surge rolls in.
যাও
The wall of water slams into them, knocking all to the ground and dragging them back toward the sea. The receding current becomes a trap, its suction far stronger than it appears. This footage, believed to be from Myanmar, shows just how fast the ocean can turn violent. Nearby bystanders rush into frame, wading through the chaos to pull the women to safety. Everyone survives, but the video makes one thing painfully clear. When the sea decides to reclaim its space, humans are powerless against its pull. India. Security footage shows an empty street corner. Then people sprint into view, glancing behind them, fear carved on their faces. A moment later, an elephant thunders around the corner, tusks flashing, trunk raised. The sheer mass of the animal makes the camera tremble as it charges past. Locals claim it had become agitated, rampaging through the area before vanishing into nearby trees. Whether driven by stress, confusion, or human provocation, the result is the same: pure chaos in a confined space, like nature's reminder that it's never really under our control. At first glance, it looks like a strange cloud drifting above the highway, but as the camera zooms in, the cloud is alive. Millions of honeybees fill the air.
I know, I had trouble getting mine.
Oh, there we go. I got mine.
Moments earlier, a truck hauling 70,000 pounds of active beehives overturned near the Canadian border in Washington state. The crash turned the air into a buzzing storm. Police sealed off the area as emergency crews called in professional beekeepers to recover what they could. The accident created what officials described as an insect emergency. No one was seriously hurt, but for several hours, the air itself seemed to hum with chaos. It's a surreal reminder that even a traffic accident can turn into a scene straight out of a disaster film, one sting at a time. Steve Irwin wasn't just a wildlife guy, he was the wildlife guy. From the time he was 6 and caught his first venomous brown snake, he was hooked. Animals weren't just his passion, they were his life. To Steve, people misunderstood these creatures. He believed if we learned to respect them, we could live alongside them. That mindset fueled his adventures. Sharks, crocs, venomous snakes, you name it, he faced it. And he didn't just do it for himself, he brought all of us along for the ride through his hit show, The Crocodile Hunter. For over a decade, millions tuned in to watch him wrestle reptiles and show us that the animals we feared weren't villains, just misunderstood.
To deal with venomous snakes, as I learnt at a very young age, is give them space. This is his territory. This is his terrain, his environment. He's the biggest predator out here. And this is just such a special moment. This is what I want to share with you.
But on September 4, 2006, the unthinkable happened. Steve and his crew were out near Port Douglas, Queensland, filming for a show called Ocean's Deadliest. The weather wasn't great, so instead of chasing tiger sharks, Steve and his cameraman, Justin Lyons, decided to film something else. That's when they spotted a massive stingray gliding through the shallow waters. Now, Steve had handled stingrays before. They weren't seen as especially dangerous compared to everything else he dealt with. The plan was simple: get a few shots for a Young Ones wildlife show hosted by his daughter Bindi. They filmed the stingray from different angles and were wrapping up when Steve decided to get one last shot from behind as it swam off. That's when it all went wrong. The stingray, feeling threatened, lashed out. Its venomous barbs struck Steve in the chest multiple times. At first, Justin didn't realize what had happened until he saw the water cloud with blood. He rushed Steve out of the ocean before sharks could be drawn in.
Probably thought that Steve's shadow was a tiger shark, which feeds on them very regularly. And so it started to attack him. I didn't even know it had caused any damage. It wasn't until I panned the camera back that Steve was standing in a...
Steve, still conscious, tried to stay calm. He gasped to Justin, "It's punctured my lung." But the barb had pierced his heart. His final words were chillingly simple: "I'm dying." And just like that, the crocodile hunter was gone. The world was devastated. Tributes poured in from everywhere. His wife, Terry, was traveling with her young ones when she got the heartbreaking call. By the time she made it back to the zoo, Steve had already passed. Steve had always known the risks. He told his crew if something ever happened, keep filming, because for him, the mission was bigger than himself, and his family has carried that mission forward. His young ones, Bindi and Robert, continue working with wildlife, keeping his dream alive. Steve Irwin's death remains one of the most shocking animal-related tragedies ever. And maybe the most haunting part? He survived years of wrestling with crocodiles and handling the deadliest snakes, only to be slain by a stingray, an animal rarely known to be fatal. But if you ask those who knew him, Steve wouldn't have blamed the stingray. He always said wild animals were just being themselves, and in his memory, his family and fans continued to celebrate the wild world he loved so much. In another clip, a kitchen worker, bare-chested and without any protection, was cooking when a sudden flare-up erupted. Flames leapt toward him, but luckily the situation burned out on its own before turning catastrophic. This is exactly why safety gear, even something as simple as an apron, is considered essential in kitchens. Finally, for something lighter, a man missed trash collection day and decided to take matters into his own hands. Wearing a helmet, he hopped on his scooter and raced after the garbage truck, trying to toss his bag in. He came close but fell just short, an oddly relatable moment for anyone who's forgotten pickup day. Imagine being so agitated over a piece of fabric. Given the present situation, this soccer match between the US and Mexico is bound to be stressful. But when another man raises a Mexican flag, this man begins to threaten him. He assaults him when he does. The man in question was literally covered in American flags, although I suppose his main grievance was that Mexico had won. An attempted robbery in Santa Cruz de El General, Costa Rica on September 3, 2025 ended unexpectedly when a man was swiftly deflated with a jiu-jitsu move while attempting to take a woman's phone inside a restaurant.
Tranquilo. Tranquilo. No, ahí no. A ver si estamos, ¿no? Chiquita. Mira. No es que estamos nada, mi chiquita. Vea.
The staff reportedly contacted the police right away when she pinned him to the ground. This time, the criminal scheme didn't work out as expected. Thanks for watching. Stay vigilant, friends.